Saluton, and welcome to this Markov Dossier Battle Report. My name is Scott, and I'm here with Sam.
Howdy, Pilgrims.
And we are going to talk about our second battle in the Carl the Red and White campaign.
Yep. So, as you may remember, our last battle was the first round of the Carl the Red and White, which was a victory for General Black, me, which led us to the second scenario, which is called Reindeer Rescue. Essentially, this is a take the centre building objective. In the way the round, because I won the scenario last time, I was holding the second building with Kyle in it, and my forces deployed behind it, and Scott's objective was to try and capture either Kyle or the building, or both, from me to win the scenario. And it was one of those where it comes down to who's holding it at the end of the game. So you can switch hands as many times as you like. It's not until the very last play of the game that the points actually get distributed. If you want to see, please have a look at Warcradle's excellent campaign they've put on the Armoured Clash website and see which one we're doing.
As we mentioned in our previous video, we are escalating every game we get. So we were at 1,500 points last game. We have now gone up by 500 points to 2,000 points this game. We are not going to repeat our lists in full. We're simply going to just say what we decided to add, maybe give a little bit of context behind it. Mine's very simple. And then we'll move on to turn one. So I will kick us off. My extra 500 points was very simple. I just added a reinforced unit of Sturmrise Walkers, which is the Arc versions, not the flamey Lucifer versions. I added a basic unit of Scion Verling Dryad, which is the flak version. And last but not least, or maybe least, but we'll talk about that, is a full strength unit of Messer Interceptors. And that was it. My basic thinking was Sam was going to definitely bring his of the Colossus this time, and although I had 2 Colossus already, I felt like I needed more potent armor takedown, and Messers have a decent enough heavy attack with penetrating. The Sturmrise have arc on their weapons, so I get 2 extra dice instead of 1 when doing a heroic strike roll. And the Scion Verlings were there for speed mainly, to try and sort of get around, and maybe a little bit of anti-infantry because it is Enlightened after all. They do love a gribbly horde of monsters. So
Indeed. So, with mine, as Scott was saying, I did indeed want to bring my second behemoth, which was the Horsel Super Heavy Extractor I wanted to bring. Unfortunately, at 410 points, that doesn't leave you a lot to bring anything else. So what I had to do was do a bit of reorganising. We did say we had to use the same troop set, but we did say we could rearrange them into new battle groups if we needed to. But we had to use the same troops that we had from previously. So what I did was I split my original group into 2 battle group. So I had a faction group and then a new crab group, which I kept at minimum. So it had the Horsel in it as its commander. I moved the tripods, the Mars tripods, into it as the mandatory armor slot. And for the mandatory artillery, I moved the Enceladus and Europa crawlers into there. I boosted the Enceladus from basic to reinforced, and with my last points, I used the last 30 points I had to take a different boon. So this time I took Countercharge, which is 30 points. That's brought me up to bang on 2,000. With only a small, we're basically just adding a behemoth and a couple of extra mortars, and that's really what it was.
any reasons? I mean, I guess for you it was mainly just I want another behemoth, and this is the points I've got left.
It basically came down to I need a behemoth, and that doesn't leave me much left over from the end of that. Tactically speaking, it may have been wiser to leave behemoth and just bolster units up to reinforced strength and maybe add some more things, but I wanted to bring the behemoth in, so we had 4 behemoths on the board, so that's what I did. Worked out all right, I think. Maybe not. We'll see. It was fun. Certainly fun.
Yeah, it was definitely fun. Definitely fun. I feel like we both played into the fun part a lot more with certain things in this game,
Yeah.
but we will move on to that shortly. With that out of the way, like Sam said, it is a capture and hold the building. Sam is basically, for his deployment, is almost on top of the defensible building with Carl Red and White in.
That's at the centre. It's like castle, my Metcalf model castle, right at the centre of the board. So Kyle's in there.
A wedge deployment of corner to front of castle, basically. So nice and easy deployment. And my deployment was just a straight 18 inches from the castle was where my deployment line was, and I pushed pretty much everything up to it. As far as deployment's concerned, it was more about reacting. Sam won the initiative, so I was sort of reacting to what he was doing, and I was trying to sort of rock, paper, scissors. In a smart or not smart move, I decided shooty behemoth against shooty behemoth and fisty behemoth against clawy behemoth. So
the most notable thing I did with my deployment was I chucked my full strength infantry block into the castle with Kyle as protection, thinking that it would take a while while they're not specifically good defenders, it would take a while to chew through that bigger block of infantry. Of course, that's not quite how assaults work. I didn't think of that. But there was a hefty chunk of infantry in the castle with Kyle looking after him.
With vanguards and stuff out the way, I think you had a couple of vanguard units, didn't you, for pre-turn one?
Yeah, monocavs, and I think the Seekers have it as well. Oh, and the Hellions. Are the Hellions vanguard? I think they are. So we got ourselves moving, and of course turn one's always a bit cagey.
Yeah, turn one in this game was a little bit more like last time it felt like we got into range a lot quicker than this game, which is interesting. But yeah, it was a little bit more cagey, but you decided to turbo boost your monocav into my Scion Verling guys.
Yeah, which wasn't smart.
This is where you realised after charging me you would actually have been better to shoot me from a distance.
Oh yeah, because
you would have got double the dice.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now.
Because consequently, after being charged, I won this because I managed to take a base down and you didn't manage to take a base down. So you withdrew and then cursed the charge because it didn't pay off quite as well as you did.
They weren't effective. They ran in, ran away, and then got mauled. But it was fun and thematic. A whole bunch of monocavs tanking towards you.
Yep.
Completely ignoring the fact they're armed with guns.
Yep, so you got a 1 if you're overcharge and managed to plink a point of damage off me.
Yep.
Don't think you took any damage.
I learned my lesson from last time. When I'm overcharging, not to use it when I'm using the coruscanting laser against multiple targets, and I just focused all my firepower on your... Which one's that one? Is that the shooty sea? Is that the Fausty Fist?
That's the Seeger.
That's the shooty Seeger. I'd try and take us to overcharge and drew a 1 for my overcharging, which this set the tone for my cards for most of this game, as you'll see as we go along. But when I needed a high card, I got a low card. When I need a low card, I got a high card, and that just kept happening. It's not often I get the run of bad luck when we play, but today the cards were not with me.
No, it was a theme for the game, but like you say, we will cover that in the post, because I don't think there's a lot of... We don't want to take just photos of cards constantly, but yeah, we will discuss. Okay, so this is the end of turn 1. Like we said, it was a lot of caginess. I was very concerned about my Sturmrise facing off against your Mars, because I know they've got overcharge. And although the Sturmrise have got arc, it's only good if you roll well. And I suppose situationally, so are the Mars overcharge problems. But yeah, I'd moved up. Yeah, I'd moved my Sturm wagons behind one of the buildings to kind of hide them from an overcharged weapon from the wells. I was very concerned that I was just going to lose my entire Crusader squadron to the wells in like a coruscating laser beam. So I hid them behind a building, and my heavy infantry and my Castellian armigers scooted forwards at their snail's pace, and that was pretty much it for my movement. So at the end of turn 1, it was a big old goose egg for both of us. There was no points scored, no units destroyed, no centre point objectives this round. It was all very much a big old 0 for us.
Actually, there was a centre point objective. I just forgot to play the card.
Nobody scored a centre point objective.
I had one of the cards. Completely forgot.
Yeah. Okay, so this is my Castellian armigers mercilessly gunning down the monorails, apart from a single one who I believe he broke, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he watched his friends die and decided, I don't need that.
Yeah, he was a smart old dude who was just like, nope, I'm good. Thanks for...
Yeah, and he wasn't quite close enough to the command unit to make it, so off he went.
Yeah, and again, needed a low card, pulled a high card.
Yeah.
So this will be the dice roll for my Faust, who we had set it up and we wanted to pay off a Horsel versus Faust smackdown match to see who would come off better. As you could see from the dice roll, it was the Faust.
Yeah, the Horsel's really not designed to be taken on to the behemoths like that, I don't think. It's a terror against regular stuff, but it's definitely not designed to get in the punching match with a Faust. That did not go well.
No. I'll be honest with you. I expected it to be a lot more of a heavy hitting, like super quick death match between the two of them. Mm-hmm. But actually, the Horsel isn't quite as well armoured as the Faust is. The Faust's got durable. It's armour.
I don't think there's much that's as well armoured as the Faust is.
No, it is.
Outside what the Crown are running, I don't think most things are going, yeah, that's a bit tanky.
Yeah, it definitely felt a lot more tanky than the Horsel. The Horsel felt very, very fragile. I mean, it still put out a good amount of hits. It wasn't like it wasn't hitting hard. It just was taking more damage because its defense is lower than the Faust is. So
I really hate durable. It's a horrible rule. Dear War Cradle, strike that rule from the Orbat, please. It's horrible. No, it's not. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So obviously, after I activated to charge into the Horsel to do damage, the next thing to do would be the Horsel charges into the Faust to see what it can do in return. Unfortunately, because the angle can't really see that well, but I believe the Faust has got 4 points of damage on it now.
Mm-hmm. I've got 13.
The Horsel's 13 points of damage. So again, the Faust won that combat, which was good for me anyway.
Yeah, I was blocking all your punches with my head. Yeah. I think is what was going on here.
Yeah.
And also, you've also took out a couple of tripods as well in the background there.
Yeah, I think thinking about it, it was the other way around, wasn't it? So you charged me and then I charged you because I did all-out attack and fired at the Marses.
Was it,
yeah, and took two of those down at the same time. I do love the Faust and the Seeger, and like I said last time in the summary, there's not a lot between the two of them. They have both got excellent roles on the battlefield, and having them both in a force, tons of fun.
They're cool. They're very, very cool. Even if I'm losing.
Yes.
So my Demos getting tonked there.
Yes. So this was the Demos charging into my heavy Verling infantry. I was expecting to get absolutely murdered here, but it wasn't too bad. I believe I lost no bases, and Sam lost
an entire tripod. Yeah. Again, Phobos are not designed for close combat. They're anti-air. I didn't bring the close combat ones because they didn't have the points for them. These are what were left from my last list. But they do have a nice stomp attack. But nope, not today.
No, it was a little bit of a damp squib.
I tried stomping on you, and you all just caught the foot and held it, and then pushed me over.
It's
Superman.
From the heavy Verling commander model is based on the.
Oh, you mean it looks like Bren of Tarth, but
yes, that's it. Yes, Bren of Tarth. She just stood there, grabbed the foot, shoved it over.
Yes, I've seen that artwork. I know. Yeah, because I remember pointing out to that. Looks like. So, end of round 2. I've scored 1 point, and we don't know what Scott scored, so let's just assume he's losing at this point. No, you were winning by this point.
Yep, this is 6-1 at this point, so it's not a massive lead, but it was basically destroying that unit of monocavs.
Destroyed the monocavs.
Yeah. That was it. That was all I did. I destroyed the monocavs. I think, actually, no, I think I got a point or 2 from a card as well. Because I know the monocav was only a reinforced unit, wasn't it? So it was only...
Yeah, it wasn't massive points, but I think you had a card as well for destroying them. I think it was what it was.
I think I had a couple of cards for destroying something in a shoot action, I believe. But yeah. So that's the end of turn 2. Going into turn 3, this is the table at the end of turn 2. Currently, the behemoths mostly have got a little bit of paint scratched on them, apart from the Horsel, which is suffering quite badly, and even the Faust is now starting to feel the burn, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The Mars, you've only got a single Mars left from what I can see there. I believe it was a Faust and Sturmrise combination that managed to take down 3 tripods in that turn. So
yeah, I remember that. This is the turn where I did we tried the countercharge rule out.
Yes, this is the one. Yeah, because
that's on the very left hand side. There's a infantry unit there. They shot at which unit did I charge in with? Because it was a bad idea. Because I charged in with it and thought, again, I should have stayed still and shot you, but it was still fun.
I believe it was the Hellions.
Oh, yeah, that was it, yeah. The Hellions, because they can't shoot. That was it. So we tried out the countercharge rule. Basically, this means that you can play this as a command, and it works as if you have on lookout, but instead of shooting back, you charge back. This isn't necessarily a good idea, depending on the unit you use it with, but I thought, what the heck, it sounds like fun. So I was shot at, and we had a little discussion of where does the shooting go? Because the rules doesn't make it clear exactly, do I get shot then charge? Do I just charge back? And the way it's written does make it appear like you don't get, the shooting just vanishes and doesn't happen, but we ruled that was silly. So we said, you shot me, then I charge you back. And I charged into you, and again, died spectacularly within the charge, just literally ran into your metal fist and exploded. But it looked great. Charge! We're dead.
Yeah,
what happened?
It's a fun little rule, and I can see it being quite horrible if you've got, like, imagine your giant unit of Enlightened against my Verling suddenly just being like, I'm on lookout, you're shooting at that person, but I can play this to get, like, it doesn't say it has to be the unit that's being targeted, if I remember rightly. It's just you can spend a on lookout to do a counter charge against a person, which is...
Yeah. Imagine, for example, you had the Crowned Cavalry, and you played it then, that would be a massacre.
Yeah. I mean, it has the potential to be like a really crucial sort of game-winning maneuver potentially for some units. So,
providing your general knows what he's doing, which I didn't.
But we ruled it the way that we would have played like a normal reaction step, where we would resolve the combat in the charge, and then I would get the shoot after the reaction step sort of thing, because it didn't say anything about cancelling the
As I said, we shot and then slammed in, and it was fun. It worked. Well, it didn't work, but it was fun.
I did ask about this on the Discord, and people agreed that we did the right thing. So
excellent.
And I think that is all the other stuff we didn't cover. There's not really anything massive that we didn't cover.
Didn't you use your planes in this turn? Which turn?
Yes, I did use this. I forgot. I did. See, this is the problem with planes. I forget them all the time. So, two things that I should have read before I did this. Number one, messes have rapid response, which means you can use them in turn 1 and turn 5, unlike other planes. And I didn't know that I could use them in turn 1, so I'd missed that opportunity. Thing 2 that I didn't read properly is the penetrating rule. So me thinking, penetrating is very good against heavies, so it's going to be great against behemoths. All it does is an extra point of damage on top of the damage that you do.
Which is great against tanks, because that usually is the tank killer.
Well, against tanks, it's great because it destroys. It doesn't take a point of damage. It destroys a tank as long as you do a point of damage. Against behemoths, if you do a point of damage, you just do an extra point of damage, and that's it. That is your sort of limit, which, you know, makes sense. These are giant war machines that are heavily armoured. Penetrating isn't just going to blow them up, obviously, but I was expecting maybe do an extra 2 point of damage or roll double the amount of dice or something, you know, spectacularly cool for penetrating. But it was literally just, if you do a damage, extra damage. And I didn't even crack the armour on the Horsel. I whiffed the roll, and I think I got 3 hits total, or 2 hits total maybe. And it was just like, oh.
Blink, 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 blink.
Yeah. And off they flew. They didn't get a reaction step against them, so at least they didn't die at this point. But, yeah, we'll come to that in the next couple of turns. Here we are.
Now it started to get fun.
Yeah. Turn 3. First thing I do, I won the initiative, was just like, I'm in the capabilities of destroying the Horsel. So that is the first thing I went to, was just like, right, down goes the Horsel. Luckily I was only just in my top bracket still by a gnat's whisker. I managed to still roll all my dice, and kaboom goes the Horsel.
It was just an ordinary kaboom.
It wasn't a smoking, cratering the ground kaboom, but it was a kaboom. So I took some damage from that. I don't think anybody else was in range. I think the Mars was in range, but it was fine if I remember rightly, because you didn't roll well for it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, on the other side of the table, I am determined your Shooty Seeger is going down. So I let it have it with absolutely everything. I did an overcharged heavy attack. I couldn't use the Coruscant later on that particular one because I'd used it on the last round. So I gave it the overcharged heavy attack, which to my surprise actually finished you off.
Yeah, it was a really good roll for that as well. And you pulled it wasn't like a high card, but it wasn't a low card like you'd been pulling for all the other stuff. So
it was a mid-size, but it was enough. It just got you. In the middle, things is getting interesting around Kyle. The castle is being assaulted, and we've been forced back, and Kyle has been forced out. That makes things interesting, because the Rosario was, as I said earlier, is it 15 points to hold Kyle and 15 points to hold the castle?
Yeah, that's correct.
Holding both was massive.
Yeah, so like you say,
Who's currently holding that castle? What's that? What's that on the top there? It's one of mine. I'm still holding the castle. That is a devastator. That was a bit of back and forth. You took the castle. My infantry troops had to retreat. I sent the devastators in. They managed to hold it, but you were holding on to Kyle.
Yep. I'd managed to pull him, and I'd managed to get my Crusaders in, do enough damage to win the battle, pushed out the citizen soldiers, and then decided rather than try and keep the castle, to try and run with Kyle to see if I could split the difference in points.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the end of turn 3, and crucially, as you can see, the castle is now not held by a heavy devastator anymore. My slightly...
Oh yeah, I've got him back.
Yeah, the slightly underwhelming rocket battery team managed to blow out the last of the devastators, but like you say, you just sprung back in. I'm not sure who that is, actually.
Looks like my Seekers. No, it's not Seekers. That is infantry. The infantry came back.
Yes. So the infantry are back in, holding the castle and Kyle once again, which was a little bit frustrating, but...
What's really is frustrating is you remember to set up your messes at the bottom,
yep,
and then completely forgot to use them, even though they were sitting there in front of you.
Yep. Yeah, it was a silly mistake. Okay, so here you can see the fiery, smoking wreckage of the poor old Faust.
Kaboom. Took a lot of taking it down. Overcharged shots just poured into that, but at great cost, because that final overcharged shot, just too many blanks for me to tank, and I also went kaboom. Mutually assured destruction. It was glorious.
Yep.
And not only that, yours went big kaboom.
Yeah, mine was...
took out some other stuff as well as it went down.
My bikes went down. It took a couple of points off the Sturmrise. Took some bases away from the Castellians. Mine was devastatingly bad for that side of the board, that explosion. But I don't think it did a lot of damage to any of your stuff, did it? Because that Seeker group there...
mine...
I know what happens to that, so I know that's at that same strength in turn 4. I'm not sure if it took any damage to the crabs or not. I don't think so.
No, it just missed me completely. But yeah, I lost my last behemoth doing it. But I think what's fun here is 4 behemoths on the board, all 4 of them destroyed by each other. I mean, if that's not why we put 4 behemoths on the board, I don't know what is. Yep. That's what we wanted to see.
Yeah,
we wanted our very own Pacific Rim, and by goodness, did we get it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, it was everything we wanted it to be. Like, last game was fun for me. I lost it, but it was fun for me because I rampaged across everything that was out there. This game, I definitely felt the opposition of other behemoths was more important to sort of be looking at over little bits and pieces that I could see everywhere else. Whether that was the right decision or not, I don't care, because it was much more fun to just fight a giant spider and a giant robot and have just a laser beam super meltdown show with the other 2. So
I'm sure we'll be repeating this in the next battle.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What we said in turn 4 is we run out of time. The shop was going to close, so we ran down what we thought were the most important activations to do, and if they would change the game. So obviously, behemoths versus behemoths was crucial because it's big points to win for each of us. And then in the centre, there were 4 different things that were going to happen, which was... Number 1, somebody needed to go into the building, and number 2, I needed to try and get them out of that building and keep them out of that building. So the citizen soldiers went first. They activated, but they were suppressed, and they failed their suppression test, so they could either move or shoot. and I can't remember why you didn't move them in. I think there was a good reason why you didn't want to move them in, but I can't remember what it was. I think they were just out of range, weren't they? Because you got pushed.
Yeah.
You kept getting suppressed and you were backtracking and you just weren't able to get into the contact with the building. So it was up to...
So I did some shoot.
Yeah. So there was some shooting which got rid of the... Was it the Castellians that were coming in?
We managed to kill... So I had an empty building. I moved in what looks like my... Is that my Seekers I've moved in? That is
your Seekers.
Yeah. Seekers moved in. I thought, yes, I'm holding it. This is going to be great.
Yeah. So they moved in. Then it was three activations, which was my Scion Command Platoon, who overwatched to boost the Essen rocket battery that were obscured from the building, so I could get the positive bonus to shooting at them. And I managed to destroy one base of Seekers, and then all I had to do with the Verlings was get another base removed. You were already suppressed. I needed one more base to remove, and then I needed you to fail your suppression test so you would run out of the building. I did manage to kill just one single base, even though I was throwing a lot of dice with the Verlings, but they were, they're garrisoned in there, so they get the bonus defense. And has had happened pretty much all of the game, you pulled that high card when you needed a low card desperately.
Yeah, my unit broke. They were down to one base, and it got to the point where I wasn't looking at the cards. I was just, every time I was pulling a card out, I was just going, just tell me what it says. Just tell me what it says.
Just tell me if
and it came down, the very last card, it was a case of, if they didn't break, I got the points because I was holding on to it. If they broke, I lost the points, and we were just down to what we'd got on victory points and so on. And I pulled an 11, and the Seekers just went, nah, bye-bye.
Yep. So at this point, it was at the end of the game, it was 30 to 26 to Sam. So it was it's 35 to 26, sorry, because there was 9 points between us. Mm-hmm. And if you'd have got that 30 points, you'd have won the game easily. But because I had managed to just push you out, and nobody had Santa, and nobody had the building, that 30 points went nowhere. So it came to the victory points for the game, which was me by 9 points. So again, just like last game, it was that last activation, that last roll, that last card. Yep, that last card that sealed the game for us. It was a really, really tight, fun game full of randomness. And
it was real.
I need to try and remember a way to get me to activate my planes more often, because I feel like if I'd have read the rules properly and I'd have remembered to do them, they may have made a difference. I should have been putting them against the mortar crawlers, because they were like you say, they were always there just chipping away at things constantly. So planes is a must remember for next game. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I might put a monocle on and then take it off every time, but no, that's not going to work, because I'll forget to put the monocle back in. So I'll figure something out. So yeah, really, really good game, which means the last scenario we're going to go into is a different... So the scenario that would have been, if Sam would have won, would have been a reverse of the first scenario, but now it's a completely different scenario. It's kind of worked in our favour a little bit of... We get to play a different scenario.
Now, this would be really time when we should have had the rulebook open with us, because then we could actually name that scenario, because our brains are not working. Polar Express Delivery, which is you have to hit, which is, I think, as I said, I think this is the more fun of the two ones, because it's not a reverse of the first one. You have to hit several points on the board, so speed's going to be paramount for you. Yes, because you're well noted for how fast your troops move. And I think that's good, because that's the more interesting of the two clashes. Of nothing. I'm not disparaging anything, but the other clash, if I'd have won, would have been a reverse of the first one, where I just have to get him off the edge of the board. It's okay, but it's not as fun as this one.
It's doing the same thing again, but backwards isn't as good as playing a completely different scenario. So it kind of worked in our favour, thankfully. But yeah, so next point is going to be 2,500, which I think is.
It's the bottom end of Cataclysm, so we can take full strength units, which is what I'm going to be spending my 500 points on.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm not sure what one. I have laid out two different lists depending on whether I won or lost. So I have a list prepared for the other side, but we won't talk about those here, obviously. That will be in the next battle report. Let's do a summary. How did you feel about the scenario, and who was your MVP?
The scenario I really liked. It forced me to be defensive, which, because we're doing escalation, was actually quite tricky, because my original list was all about mobility, but not particularly defensive, which is why putting the behemoth in was probably not the tactical choice. What I should have done was buy more different units, but that's what we wanted, to put the behemoth in. I really liked it. It's challenging because holding a central building and being able to stuff it full of troops did make it challenging, because I basically lined up and said, "Come at me, bro," and shot you as you came at me. That was the plan. Little skirmishes here and there. It's mostly what I did. Do I have an MVP? I think it's probably going to have to be one of the behemoths for taking down yours. Yeah, it's going to have to be the Wells.
Yeah, that makes sense. It did a lot this game. It was much more, I think, the last game, it suffered from the unfortunate inexperience of somebody pressing a red button multiple times when he really shouldn't have.
I only pressed it once. I was like, nope, not doing that again.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crippled me.
Yep.
The first game, yeah. I was like, ooh, that's a lot of blank.
Yeah, that was a hell of a lot of blank. But that's the
Still pressing it.
Yep.
I'm never, ever not going to press that button in a game.
I'm going to remind you of that.
There are times when I may not press it at that particular moment, but that button's getting pressed some point in a game.
Yeah, I agree. I think the scenario was interesting. Like, the different deployments was fun as well. Having like a wedge versus just a line meant I could kind of spread out a little bit more and plan movement a little bit more and hide things a little bit, so I didn't just get blasted off the board as I ran up. The MVP for me, I think the Faust's going to have to be the MVP for me, because he took a lot of punishment and just kept on kicking. It took two behemoths to take him down, because everybody else did well, but they didn't exceed my expectations, you know.
Your Verlings did win the game for you.
Yeah, they've been a consistently decent unit, but I'm never thinking, like, who must I take for a force? And I'd have to take a behemoth, and I probably would automatically take a heavy Verling squad over a Scion just standard squad, like almost every time, unless I just needed a points fill unit. And I know they're good for holding objectives in other scenarios where you have to hold them, but I'd be putting my armatures on those objectives because they've got durable and shrouded, so good luck moving them, because it's going to be a problem.
It is. We did completely forget about the naughty and nice list rules again.
Yes.
Absolutely forgot about them. I mean, first game we actually remember them once. This one, gone. And they probably should have been used.
To be fair, I don't, because it wasn't such a killy game this time. Like, the behemoths both died, but I don't think any of the units, or many of the units, completely died. Like, there was a lot of breaking and pushing back and moving back, but in total, I think I only lost 1, 2, 3, 4 units out of all my units. So it's only 4 times it would have triggered. It may have made a difference, because it may have meant that you couldn't have done certain things and I couldn't do certain things. So it may have made a difference, but I don't think so.
The snowball fight never happened because you have to have some ended a stalemate. That didn't happen.
It's never happened. There's always been a a concise winner.
Yeah.
So we've already gone over the scenario for next turn. So our plan, we're going to announce this here, and hopefully it happens. We are planning on playing the final game of the campaign at UK Games Expo. So we're going to find a table in the open play area. We are going to take it over, and hopefully it'll be big enough. And we are going to do our final battle there at 2,500 points each. So we've got 500 points to play with. I have a pre-prepared list that I was going to use for this scenario. Like Sam said, this based on speed. So guess what needs painting before UK Games Expo? Lots of things with wheels and jetpacks.
That's only you. I'm not painting anything. It's not even primed yet.
It's hey, it's perfect priming weather now in UK. It's gone above like single digit temperatures. Time to get it done.
I might have to break out the purple.
I will say, since I've got the sprue from the War Games Illustrated magazine, I think it was
Commander Brandt.
Yes, I may be taking
General Brandt.
That detachment instead of the Scion Command Platoon for my... What's it? I'll have to think about that because I need to keep the other Scion Command Platoon. So
yeah, you can't lose. You can't lose any troops that you've already got.
So
you can add to them or rearrange them into different brass groups.
I might have a look at that and see what I need doing to that, if that's possible. Because it'd be fun to have that group in there as like a little fun thing. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So yeah, hopefully UK Games Expo. The reason UK Games Expo not before is not really something I'm going to talk about much on here. Let's just put it as circumstances mean it has to be UK Games Expo.
Also, it's kind of iconic.
Yeah, and it'll be fun to like play a big conclusion to a campaign. It's not been a big campaign, but it's a fairly big campaign. We've never done one before, so it's an epic place to do an epic battle.
Yeah. So if you're at Games Expo, have a look out for us. We'll be somewhere we'll be there somewhere.
Yeah. We'll
rolling dice.
We'll come down. And the last time when we played Dystopian Wars at UK Games Expo, it worked pretty well, and we had a couple of people come over and ask us what we were playing. So that's always good when people come and sort of say, "Hey, what's this?"
One of them joined the Discord.
Yeah, one of them joined the Discord. So that's really good that just from us having a fun little game, someone's found Dystopian Wars, which is great. So yes, not a lot else to talk about really. I think that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a Valiant video coming once we get our copies of Valiant, just as a we won't be spoilering the book, obviously. We will just be doing like a candid little look at some of the art maybe and how you would play the adventure book itself. Just as a... Yeah,
we'll have a look at how the rules work. I'm expecting them to be quite simple. Might give you an example because one of the pages War Cradle shown has got a rules check on it, so we'll show you how that works. Don't want to spoil any pages that haven't been shown already, and we'll be having a look at that. So hopefully, because this is actually Friday, they should be arriving tomorrow in the post.
They should be.
Yeah. Assuming Royal Mail hasn't messed up.
Yeah, that's the big should, isn't it? That they do come by Royal Mail, so it could be Tuesday before.
Well, at least they're not coming by flipping Hermes.
Yeah.
Or every nowadays.
Yeah, when it would turn up in 2027. Although to be fair, I will say the guy that does every for the local area is actually really good. He actually knocks on the door.
Our lady's actually good. We've had a newer lady. When I was moaning about it, it was somebody completely different and rubbish. But yeah, we've got a pretty good every lady nowadays. But yeah, nowadays it's everything comes by Royal Mail.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, hopefully that video will be up in a couple of weeks after this video, maybe even before this video. Depends on when it comes and how long it is. Editing takes time. Okay, so that is going to do us for this battle report. I hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you join us for the next one. We'll catch you next time.
Happy trails, pilgrims.